Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about Marcus Jones out of the University of Houston on our NFL Draft Prospect Special is our host, Mr. Football himself, Vincent Turner. How's it going, man?
How you doing this morning, sir? It's always a pleasure. It's an honor to talk about all these great athletes that's going to be going into the National Football League and their name in the 2022 NFL Draft.
Absolutely. And we are so excited to be joining you every single week with these live episodes. If you're watching our live broadcast or listening to our podcast, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us every single week for all of our amazing shows and our amazing new content. We now have over 700 episodes of our podcast and over 1,000 episodes of our video broadcast. And you can go back and listen to all these great episodes, including amazing draft prospects, history specials, interviews with incredible players, coaches, and other amazing broadcasters. Well, Mr. Vincent Turner, we're talking about Marcus Jones out of Houston today. What do we have to look forward to with this young man, and what can we expect in his future?
What I want to say about Marcus Jones, he transferred from Troy. He's from Enterprise, Alabama, the 334. And granted, we got a very special defensive back class. He doesn't fit the bill. He's only 5'8", 185, but he's a guy that when you look at his career, pound for pound, his time at Troy and at the University of Houston, there's no question about it. He might be the best player in the draft. And he's got what I call some of those freakazoid tendencies. Robots report to the football field. Let me talk about him. Versatility. Not only is he a good player on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively he can make an impact in the return game, and also he can make an impact playing on the offensive side of the ball. He's got a lot of skill sets. When you talk about versatile players that play both sides of the ball, he's got a little bit of Tommy Casanova, LSU. Jake Scott, Georgia. Darrell Green, they play with the Redskins that return kicks. My man, the handsome Rob Woodson, University of Purdue in Pittsburgh. He got some Charles Woodson in him. Delta O'Neal, they played at Cal. Eric Metcalf. Dante Hall, Texas A&M. From a tackling standpoint, he got a little bit of Antonio Winfield Jr. and Sr. And he got a little Cordell Patterson, and we saw how he played with the Atlanta Falcons this year. But I'm going to start with the production of the young man. Returning kicks. This what sticks out to me in his years in college, man. 3,000 return yards. 6 kickoff returns for touchdowns. 3 punt returns for touchdowns. 2 in 1 game. You get a special football player that can make an impact from the offensive standpoint. But let me tell you about the skill set of a cornerback. Elite coverage skills. Very dynamic in coverage, A+. Scrappy slot corner, A+. Speed to keep up with receivers getting downfield, A+. Ball hawking skills, A+. Instincts, A+. Initial bursts, A+. Eye coordination, A+, reading the quarterback. Very underrated as a football player, A+. Now, this is the productions when he was in college playing at Houston and Troy. 153 career tackles, 51 tackles for loss, 9 interceptions, 31 pass defenses, 1 forced fumble. His season last year at Houston, 18 pass defenses, 5 interceptions, 1 tackle for loss, and 48 tackles. What are we seeing here as a football player? A guy that can make a difference. As we talk about here all the time on 100 Yards of Football, with Daniel Kelly, with Logan Landers, with Bobby Butler, with Jeremiah Long, can these players go into the league? Can they become an impact? Can they be a playmaker? Marcus Jones at 5'8", 185 pounds. If I was a GM, I'll be seriously looking at this young man because he has that mentality. Warriors come out to play. Warriors come out to play. Freakazoid, report to the football field. Pound for pound, this young man might be the best player in the draft. And he's done it at the high level. Granted, Houston is maybe not what you want to say, your stellar Power 5 school or Troy University where he played his first 2 years or not. But I don't care on any level. When you got 153 career tackles, you got 9 interceptions, you got 31 pass deflections, then you got 6 kickoff returns for touchdowns and 3 for touchdowns in the punt game, return punts. It's enough said about Marcus Jones, man. Football player that's playing at a high level. And let me throw this in there too. Terrell Buckley too. They played at Florida State. They had the same statue. Mr. Long, Marcus Jones.
Sorry, I was muted there for a second. I keep leaving myself muted so that in case I'm shifting papers around. Yeah, so Marcus Jones, yeah, that is crazy. And we feel like this man is going to make those moves. And that's one of the reasons we bring you these incredible draft prospects every single week. And we want to know from you, our listeners and viewers, what do you think? Do you think that's where Marcus Jones will end up? Do you think that those are his prospects? We want to hear from you. So please leave it in the comments or over on our podcast, leave us a review and tell us exactly what you think about Marcus Jones, our show, and how we're doing. And so, Mr. Vincent Turner, what are your final words for Marcus Jones?
When you look at Marcus Jones, you think about the history and the school he played at the University of Houston, the great football players have had come out of that school, and Elmo Wright, Robin Newhouse, Lamar Lathan, Andre Ware, Glenn Montgomery, Eric Blunt, DC Nobles, guys that put it out there for the University of Houston. Hey, he put it out there for the University of Houston. All I can say is when I was a freshman on the yard at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, there was one song that used to have the whole campus rocking. I should see them Trans Ams rolling down the street and them Camaros back in the day with the T-tops that you can take out. There's only one song to describe Marcus Jones. Come on in and party hardy. When the people get together and they don't care about the weather, we're proud to say, welcome to the party. It's all the way live, Lakeside. Marcus Jones is going to be all the way live in the NFL. I guarantee it.
Yes, sir. Hey, well, if you love our show, then please subscribe, follow our channels, leave us a review on our podcast over on Spotify, over on Apple Podcast, Amazon, your Google Home device, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And make sure to send us a comment over on YouTube or Facebook and tell us, what do you think? We are going to be here with you every single week with more amazing draft prospect specials. You've been listening to our coverage of Marcus Jones, the draft prospect out of the University of Houston, with our host, Mr. Vincent Turner. I'm your producer,